Hello and welcome to NA Regional Finals, Day 1, Game number 5. Enjoy.
Already, hey, if he sees a couple more of those, might be thinking about pressing that D key a few times. Currently sitting in third place, Kyvix is one of those players that might just be sitting pretty and move forward to tomorrow without a breeze. But as Cass did mention, right, there's still the average placement over the course of 3 days, so players still going to be giving it their all pretty much every single game.
We're seeing Pirates as the garage here as well. This is a huge economy perspective. And I feel like this was like the definition of influencer here, where you see a Yone, you're watching Kyvix play, and the first thought that jumps to your mind is, are we re-rolling?
Yep. I think the answer is going to be if we see a couple more, yes. It doesn't have to be indicative, especially with the Mirage being Pirates Greed, right? That's just a generically good econ trait to play in the early game. Doesn't commit you to Yone at all, but we've seen Yones do really well. I think there was one actually earlier today that got a top 4 placement with just being on a Yone 2 and then Olaf 2.
Wow. Yeah, I definitely missed that one. My mind is just laser focused. I feel like on the
There's
last
so
game
much.
that we saw,
Yeah.
where it was the the Kaisa 3 making it to top 2, and then
Oh,
Kubum's
yeah.
having a Xayah 3 and an Itis 3. It just feels such like a remarkable finish that you could have to your board.
I just want to give props to Rain for that game. It was an unwinnable game, but she nearly found a way. Zephyrs were fantastic every single time, but Goobums was so far ahead and played it really well, right?
Wow, look how we're kicking this one off. Thrill of the Hunt, just a
Yeah.
strong stabilizing augment, preparation, get your board a bit stronger, or combat training, kind of a different perspective on how the preparation works.
Combat training is interesting if you're leaning into it early enough with an Olaf or a Yone, could be thinking about it, but players are going to be really hard-pressed to turn down preparation, especially a gold preparation. Now, especially that starts you off with that 1 stack immediately. There's a lot of good units on the bench here. Sejuani 2, of course, being the big one that's already going to be getting some stacks.
I feel like that I just absolutely love watching players the preparation because it's such a warping perspective on how you play the game.
Yeah.
So often you're going to be looking for that spot where you're like, okay, these units are good enough, let's make 10 gold. With preparation, you're like, no, how much stronger can I make this board so that I can be even greedier later on? And just, again, have that strength that's there. I love these aspects that warp your gameplay and change your mind on how the fundamentals are supposed to work.
Yeah, you take that and I guess combine it with the Pirates Greed as well. It's like you're sacrificing a little bit of economy with the prep, but you're gaining that economy back with the Pirates, so maybe it kind of evens out, so you're not even really losing that much at the end of the day. Surely losing HP there as Kyvix is, yeah, taking a 3-0 loss, but that's fine, kind of expected for that point.
I mean, HP has been defined as a precious resource.
Yeah.
Coming into this tournament, and I don't disagree. Sag, one of the players who really pointed that out in the interview that Bryce was having with players, it being called a precious resource.
Yeah.
Certainly, really placed the emphasis on that value.
That is especially apparent when looking at the last game. AMD went 8th with that capped 4 dragon board, right? The HP needed to be a resource that AMD had more of, but just wasn't there. You don't expect to go 8th with a Shyvana 2, Shioyu 2, Itis 2, and Aurelion Soul 2 beautiful items, but HP preservation, like you're saying, name of the game.
And talk about Wi-Fi here, sitting in the 15th place, holding 16 points right now. I think this is really a great perspective on what things are looking like right now.
Yep.
The top 16 players are making it through. So if we're talking about Wi-Fi, 2 slightly above averages performances, that's likely going to lock you in for the next day. So when you take a look at that, that's really where I have my focus on this lobby. Again, how much is it going to change your gameplay if you just need reasonable finishes, just not like 8th, not 7th? But as Casanova pointed out, we still have that average performance over 3 days.
Yep.
You have an incentive to still play very strong, but the first goal has to be day number 2.
Exactly, one step at a time. For a player like Taco Bell Wi-Fi, that consistency isn't really, I think, the big look for me. It's more so that can Taco Bell Wi-Fi hit that thing like the Eye of the Storm Lee Sin and pop off and get it first, or lean into some unorthodox directions and go 8th, right? It's a little bit of that first to 8th lean. Maybe Taco Bell Wi-Fi can find a way to not lean heavily into those Dragomancers and, play the meta comps as well or better than the other players. But 2 more games left to do it. You're saying on pace right now, and I agree. Just needs to find a couple more comfortable angles probably to get to day 2 and keep learning as the meta progresses in this specific tournament.
Indeed. And Dace here sitting at 13 points. We're looking at needing some strong finishes here from Dace. You're going to have to take risks, I think, at this point, because if you don't have strong finishes, you don't make it to day number 2.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see specifically Dace, Clear, and Milk in this lobby, as they are the players that are really under the pace right now, under the tempo, but have to still continue on with some good finishes. Milk, the momentum is in his favor because he did finish first in that last game. He's really feeling good about that one. Can't always make it happen the right way, though.
Getting a look at all the augments here on the side. Robin, I just feel like somehow he summons the Celestial Blessing every single time, just fits his playstyle. 2 players on the metabolism right now to get that little bit of extra HP. That's pretty rare to see that.
See him zooming around the carousel here. I always love to see that. Zooming around together with Taco Bell and Kyvix. But 2 players that share an augment as well are Melk and Kyvix with the preparation as well. Like you're saying, it's such a good augment. Players are going to be changing their whole game plan around it, and it can end off on some really capped endgame boards, right? Getting all of those stacks on your late game units, that's going to be such power.
Ooh, Clear here at level 5. You have 18 gold. You have the Pirates Greed going, and you're on a 3-win streak.
Wow.
Like, how do you define a stronger style position coming out of the first 3 rounds?
Get the rock-propelled fist as well to just cheese out some early unit kills. Let Karma clean it on up. It's just 6 sets already. Definitely not a reroll angle by any means, but still powerful for the board state as it is in the early game. Clear looking to make 20 here at the end of the round. Hopefully it can continue streaking it. Does run into Robin, who is very strong right now as well.
Just love seeing those last second like swap over by 1 to your right
Yeah.
with the other side of it. It's just, it's like, is it that much of a difference? I don't really know, but it's just, it's beautiful to see. Like the players just, there's that quick momentum that really matters. And sometimes that micro play can be the difference in the game. Jack's really holding it down here, though. That's a lot of damage that got held.
Oh, it's so close.
Pretty close, I think.
Forest gets another cast
Well,
off.
it is a set 2 that's uncontested right now.
Oh, the set's gonna win it.
It's a lot of HP. Ah! Yeah, tried. Robin so close, but it being disrupted on the streak angle. Prestivant and Clear currently holding 4 win streaks.
Pirates Greed.
I have to. It Clear's at 30 gold with the potential to have a 5-win streak here. Like it just almost can't get better than this.
Disgusting opener. Good items as well. Rock-propelled fist. Players are not going to be as practiced against that specifically this set. So when we talk about these high pressure situations, players making mistakes, Clear is going to punish somebody in this game. It's just a matter of when.
I do feel like that anti-Blitzcrank positioning is sort of an instinct that a lot of players have right now, but when Blitzcrank is not a natural style of unit in the lobby, things are going to happen, but you're already seeing it right here. Kyvix prepared for that, the Sejuani in that back corner. Like, oh, sure, go ahead, take this one.
Kyvix not getting caught off guard. I'm sure somebody will, though. Although it is the NA Regional Finals. Maybe everyone is scouting out their kind of brains going 100 miles an hour here, saying, okay, we know Clear has it. We're going to always position around it and kind of let that ingrain into, you know, just you never want to go until you get punished by it.
Decisive win from Clear, and Prestivant joining them as well. 2 100 HP players coming into this one.
There's the unit we've seen a lot of in the early game today, Admirable. It's Volibear once again. Shimmer scale for Milk. Preparation as well. There's the Volley being prepped on the bench. The one on board is already fully prepped, it looks like.
It's kind of nuts to always see this. I do feel like that Volibear has been probably one of the most strength influencing units that's in this early game. It feels like if you have Volibear, you're just ending up in stronger spots than the rest of the lobby.
Yeah, Goobums, I think, expertly demonstrated that in the last game, showing how strong a capped Shimmer scale board can be, especially when you get it early and farm all these units. There's a couple of Yones here, but not really going to be the direction for Milk.
Yeah, looking for the gold angles there. I mean, Milk's clearly got like a pretty decisive direction this one. A Bloodthirster and a Hodge. Like, you're looking at an AD comp, but
it's
just
Soifen.
it's almost always Soifen. But you know what happens if you're not finding those units? Like, what's your alternative in that one? Let's say a pair of Zayas show up, and you know, an Idis shows up as well. Like, you know, things like that can really change your perspective. I think Milk having an openness that direction right now, it could be an advantage or it could be a deficit. It just kind of depends on your outlook.
Zaya's an interesting one because it's come out in spots that we have not expected to see it, especially today with Rambler coming out with that Zaya at the game number 1, did it expertly as well. And we talk about the Shimmer scale composition, Zaya has been finding their way into those as well, right? Give them Zaya 3, taking that for a win. You can throw something like a Hodge on there. The BT, not quite the best Zaya item, but definitely Yeah.
That's a frontline item later, all right? That's a big
True,
shield
it can
on a
be.
Warmog's itis at the end.
Hey, or a Terra.
No,
BT
yep.
Terra is, you can't be sleeping on that one either.
It's no joke. Pretty close on this one, but the Karma's not going to be able to cut this one off. Milk taking a loss here, but sitting at 40 gold, reasonable HP, pretty decent items. Looking pretty good for Milk's side.
Very, very good. Ooh, prismatic
Oh,
augments
boy.
coming through. Stand United 3.
What better way to have these high-pressure games really shape up other than prismatic? It's like, it's time to put the pedal to the metal here. You have to finish strong in these ones,
Why
and then there's some of the most volatile spots.
Wise spending means that Milk can roll down to stabilize at level 5 while just kind of passively with the wise spending go to level 6. Maybe hitting that Volibear 2 would make it all worth it. Is he going to hit that? Levels up hits the Olaf too.
Again, this kind of like warps your perspective on how to play the game, and I
Yes.
love stuff like this. Like, not only is your board getting stronger, but you're also leveling at the same time. Like,
Yep.
I feel like wise spending, from my perspective, has always been an extremely strong augment, despite the fact that I have consistently failed with this particular augment. It's such a tough one because how often do you have this style of experience?
Yeah. Your kind of instinct is like, okay, I want to save my gold and I want to use it to level up. But then you're like, no, no, no. You can do both at the same time. You can spend your gold to re-roll and level up at the same time, like you just said. Milk, I think, hit enough there with a couple of upgrades. Hit the Jax, hit the Olaf. Volibear is still Volley 1, and it's tanking the Varus this whole entire fight. Still, the double healing items are so strong. It's farming gold, but is it going to be enough? I don't quite think so.
Took too heavy of a focus, I think.
A little bit too heavy.
Wow, Robin, just a strong board, though. Like, great items for this one. Really decent setup in the Celestial Blessing. You know, holding the fort there, kind of demonstrating that, you know, you could have those items on your side that do the same thing, but you don't have to make the items to have the Celestial Blessing gain your health back.
Clear went level 7 at 3-2. Ooh, Shioyu for Milk saying, what if you don't hit the Soyfen? Well, just hit at 3-3.
You have to be able to capitalize on that spot, too. Clear.
Wait a minute.
Goodness gracious, Clear's board is just looking ridiculous.
Yeah, still 20 gold on 3-3 with already having leveled to 7 on 3-2 is not too shabby at all.
How much is the rocket propelled really changing the game here, I'm wondering?
A decent amount, right? Again, it's kind of like a free unit kill to start the fight off, and you already just have a strong enough board with the Dragonmancer Karma.
I mean, that's quite a bit of damage over the course of this fight just gone.
There you go. Clear's Karma's going to reign supreme, just have kind of free reign over the rest of this fight. Volibear is getting focused soon here again, not quite like last fight with the consistent damage of the Varus. It's going to be able to heal up in between Karma casts, so the Volibear might actually be okay here for Milk.
Finds the way to the Karma right now, and I'll tell you what, the Yone items are not it for these Thieves Clubs.
Not quite.
Wow, Volibear. I can't believe this Volibear was able to just pierce this through as casually as it really looked.
There we go. Clear's streak comes to an end. Milk punishes it even with just the Volibear 1 as we get into the stage 3. Carousel Admirable. No spats this time around for us. I feel like we were the spat whisperers, but they're not quite here.
Sag sitting with the scoped. Prestivant with the binary airdrop. It's a great way to fill in looking for that third item. Robin, again, just kind of taking like the strong outlook sort of thing. And Kybix, is that a golden ticket? That feels like it really fits the style for Kybix.
It really, really does. Gonna love to see what he could make happen with that one. But nice perspective to be able to have all of these prismatic augments in front of our eyes. It's really telling, especially like you mentioned first, Sag having the scoped weapons. That's so, so good. Taking a look at Sag's board right now, it is a Yone 2.
All right, some reasonable change coming in.
A lot of gold, actually, for Sag here.
Yeah, where do you actually go from this spot, I wonder? It's going to keep rolling on 6.
Yeah, I feel like it can just be a Yone reroll. I don't...
Oh, yeah, I was just thinking that, too. I was like, you do have the opportunity for that. I mean, you're sitting on the scoped weapons right now. That's like one of the most powerful things you can have for this.
There's the Rage Blade. The tier is going to be turned into a Hodge a bit later on. You don't necessarily need the RFC because you have the prismatic scoped weapon. Sure, it's nice when dealing with things like a Jax and get a little bit awkward if Jax just stalls out the fight for a couple seconds for free.
Punch through the Thieves' Gloves easy.
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of options open here for Sag. I feel like it's going to take a bit to really get this board into shape. You're close, but a prismatic lobby means that I think these 2-cost rerolls are a little bit weaker than they normally would be.
That is true. Oscilloscope Weapons is going to eventually, I think, shore up that weakness, but yeah, not right now at stage 3. There's a lot of Zax actually on the other bench there.
Kybix was level 5, by the way.
In true Kybix fashion.
Robin taking a loss, sitting at 40 gold, though. Prestivant still sitting at 92 HP. Kybix on a win streak. Mind you, from that, talk about Wi-Fi sitting at the bottom with 42 right now. Prestivan finds an Aurelian Soul. Holy smokes, that is not good for everyone else. Talk about Wi-Fi sitting with it. That's a 3-star Karma that's been found.
Yeah, this 3-star Karma reroll here happening. This is the Taco Bell Wi-Fi special. If it's not Lee Sin, it is the Karma, and has found it already.
And look at Kyvik. His bench is just stacked. I feel like his bench is as strong as his in-play team.
Golden ticket value, admirable. There we're seeing it right there at the bottom right. So many Zacks in the bench. That's one Zack away from Zack 3, it looks like. But taking a look at Talk About Wi-Fi's board, it's the Karma going toe-to-toe with Volibear. And Volibear might be getting the better of this one, actually, because that is a Volibear 2 now for Milk.
Oh, you're going to need the crits. You need the crits to show up on that one.
Too much healing.
Talk about Wi-Fi. This is going to be a 10 loss streak.
Oh, it's so close, actually. Wait, Karma, no.
10 loss streak.
10 loss streak and, about 40 HP is still pretty good, actually.
Oh my goodness. What happens?
Oh, the Guardian reroll. This is not quite the secret tech, but it is a good tech. The Zeri being the primary carry and putting a bunch of Guardians around it, this composition very well might surprise some people at just how strong it is.
So I do know that stacking Guardians is good right now, but I'm looking at a Senna carrying a Guardian Spatula. I'm curious, how strong is the Guardian Spatula when it comes to this comp?
I think it's so important. You're going to want, up to 6 Guardians. You want everything to just buy time.
Oh boy.
Your Guardian's getting tiered up like Leona is to tier 3, finding the Zack in a tier 3 as well, finding another Zeri too.
The golden ticket just cranking here as well.
So good.
My gosh, it's like he's at the chocolate factory. Just everything coming up Charlie right now.
Oh boy, now we seem to be thinking about what other Zeri items to get. There's 5 Guardians online. Itis is still a bit far away to be, fit onto this board because Kyvix is still just level 6, but the end game spike for this board is going to be insane. I'm going to say right now, if Kyvix hits the 6 Guardian, hits the Zeri 3, this is almost guaranteed a top 2 finish.
This has been a rare composition I've seen, but honestly, when I really start to think about it and kind of log through those games in my head, it does feel like these 6 Guardian 3-star carries have been massive in these kinds of lobbies.
There was an unfortunate, I think, who was it earlier? Was it Rain Implosion? Somebody had 6 Guardians, Aurelian Soul 2 in the backline, and it wasn't able to quite do it. But there we go into the conversation about HP preservation again, right? And I think Kyvix is doing well in that stage. Is still, top of the lobby right now, or top half of the lobby, as we have the 3rd augment phase come through.
Okay, that's a first aid kit going to 6 Guardian.
that's
disgusting. I'm pretty sure this is illegal.
6 Guardian with the Nasus that goes in. Kyvix is soon to reach critical mass. 3 more Zeris to go.
Goodness
That's kind of all you need.
This is with the golden ticket cranking too. I mean, that can show up at the start of the round here for it was. We saw Clear take a hit, but Clear had a much different direction, picking up the 2nd augment that they had. It's very, very clear that they wanted to go to a high-capped board at some point. Prestivan's still on the win streak, and it feels Sag just hit the Yone 3 here as well.
So many players hitting.
This lobby's getting strong real quick.
I think Milk hit a Shioyu too. Another upgrade came through from one of the top players in the lobby, and Sagging the Yone 3 is so critical. Talk about Wi-Fi still with that Karma 3, but no 3rd item yet.
I'm very worried about showing up against a bunch of Guardians with this team, because your goal is to snipe these front units really quickly and then have this Karma just be able to pick off boards just piece by piece.
Nothing quick about this. That's like the 4th cast into the Braum right now. Still didn't take it out. And yeah, the Karma's just going to fall over.
Look at the shields!
With the first aid kit,
that's a big hit!
I can't count that high with the number of shielding that's on these units.
Gosh.
Oh, Robin. Going for the Seraphine Graves. You heard right before the break, Bryce talk about the conversation of, is Seraphine Graves overrated, or is it accurately rated for these players that say, no, you should play it every single game, it's so good, and the kind of context ended up on, maybe it is overrated, but Robin's still in that direction. Has the Zeeks, has 2 items on the Graves, Seraphine 2. This is not a bad spot, especially with the Radiant Protector's Vow. Has decent HP. but can Robin dispel all the fears that this composition is not all that it seems?
Well, that's a 3-star Zeri I'm seeing on the other side here.
Kybix just hit.
Well, he's got a golden ticket. It's like, you know, it's just really, do you have enough gold for this? And I want to touch on this Seraphine composition a little bit here from two perspectives. Number one, I do think it is a strong composition. I think it has to show up in the right spot. But for this one, Robin showed up with this with the Lagoon later on. You don't have all those stacks here. So at what point can you consider cutting this Lagoon out? And, you know, I feel like 140 stacks is about like where your target to get rid of this Lagoon aspect would be.
I don't think that Robin is going to consider cutting Lagoon. Even if you get into it a bit late, the Seraphine Graves standard composition does just run those 3 Lagoons. I know we were talking about where the opportunities are to cut those, right? Are you going to level to 8, maybe get an Itis as a front line because it just is a bit better. It still synergizes with the Guardians and the Rakan. I think the potential is there, but I don't think players are quite on that wavelength quite yet, Admirable.
I've seen it come from a couple players, but again, I feel like the spot is so tight. You know, Itis is such a sought-after unit right now.
True.
It's pretty difficult to 2-star it if, you know, there's 3 players in the lobby looking for it. So when I look at these augments here on the side, Dace feels like that their augments are a little bit all over the place. Kybix certainly feeling with a big strength on the first aid kit, just magnifying the board defense. And for Robin here, this is very clear that it's 2 stars in level 8 has to be the angle.
2 stars in level 8, not looking like they're going to reroll on 7 for the Seraphine. The awkward thing is the front line is pretty weak here. It's only a Zac 1, Pantheon 1. Granted, it is paired, but I do agree with you. I think level 8 is going to be the play. You can fit in just a nice tech unit like a Bard, you know, whatever you want to throw in there. Maybe it is going to be the Itis like you were talking about if Robin does find it, because Zac 1, not that many Lagoon stacks, sure, just throw it away. It doesn't matter.
Look at the Zephyrs dropping off the binary. That 2 of them.
Wait, 2 of them
that showed up in this spot.
Way.
Prestevant is just in a magnificent spot right now. This board is so strong, and he's at 50 gold. What on earth? Crowan, how are you supposed to take this one down? Robin's taking a huge hit.
Oh, Robin was in a good spot just a few rounds ago, but that's 3 losses in a row. Prestevant, a.k.a. P-God, I will call him right now, the god of this lobby, win streaking so long.
We saw Milk hit level 8 by rolling for units in this spot. It's still not enough. The board isn't strong enough just yet.
Talk about Wi-Fi. The karma has not been all that is promised.
You're missing the 3rd item, it feels like.
Oh, Milk hits Karma 3 actually as well, even though he's going for, I think, a Soifin angle. But how can talk about Wi-Fi stabilize? Still is only on 5. Dragonmancer has not hit the 6th.
What can you do with the items?
These are awkward because you really want this sword to be an Infinity Edge for the Karma. There's no Jeweled Lotus here, so the crits are not guaranteed. That's so much power that Talk About Wi-Fi is missing and might not be able to get there because he runs into Prestevant, although Prestevant is not used all this gold yet, so if there's a board to beat, it might be this one.
But
if the Karma can get some damage.
It's the binary airdrop. It's making up for the fact that you can't spend this gold by just giving you a bunch of extra items here.
Karma, can't you do it? She's stunned for so long. She hasn't cast in the last 5 seconds. No. This is going to be Talk About Wi-Fi out unless Karma can do the impossible right now. Cannot do it. An exact lethal does not get to see the Treasure Dragon. That is disastrous for Talk About Wi-Fi.
The players just have such strong compositions in these spots. It feels like everyone is just tooth and nail fighting to not be in those bottom 2 positions right now. And when this Treasure Dragon hits, I feel like there's a lot of options open here. And for Robin, I can almost guarantee that they're hoping they can find an Edge of Night here for this Graves.
Yeah.
I feel like it's such an important item, but
this
I feel like it's tough to turn down here.
Yeah, this is really good. This is a Gargos for the front line, another Zeke's put on the Zeri, and the sword pairs with the cloak that was already on the Pantheon, and could even use those 2 Reforgers to reforge the Pantheon cloak and find the Edge of Night potentially like you were talking about.
Well, finds a glove instead.
Ooh, okay. One more time. One more try. Don't want to get stuck with a suboptimal item, however. That would be...
There's the Zeeks. Yeah, so like, what do you actually...
I mean, you still
roll with
reforge
here?
it.
I mean... I'm trying to think of like the bad items you end up with. Like Rod doesn't seem like it's super good.
Yeah.
Bow doesn't seem too bad either.
I was gonna say, there's actually not a lot of items that would be bad, right? Belt is good. Even Tear is good to Shojin's the Seraphine. Ends up getting the bow, which, again, still solid for the Graves. The only awkward thing is that it is still a Graves 1. The Pantheon 2 was a big hit. The Lee Sin is very good now to get Tempest online.
seeing a Seraphine with an Itis on the other side, and that Itis is 2-star.
Yup, that's the tech, Admiral. You were talking about it.
I've seen it come up a couple times. It does feel like it's difficult to find, but when you find it, it feels like a real deal. And that Edge of Night, you saw it drop the aggro onto that one,
Yeah.
so able to clear through the Ghost.
Still okay.
In this spot, but Robin, you know, they are pretty much saturated on their board right now. It's Graves 2, and that's pretty much it. Outside of that, it's very difficult to upgrade that board.
Still just a ghost board, so doesn't tell the whole story. 8 Lagoon stacks only for days. Fits it in a little bit late here with the Seraphine 1 coming in. The Neela is there for a nice bit of supplemental damage, but this board still, I don't know. How would you rate this board, Admirable, comparatively to, say, like a standard Seraphine Graves comp?
I think that the Edge Knight is hurting us a little bit. Obviously, I think the Eye of the Storm, it's not the best, but, you know, Itis with a bunch of AP really stacks your team up. That's the whole idea of this particular composition, I feel like, is that you just have a lot of overpowered units in play.
True.
So can they perform in a perspective like this? That's really the question. I'm staring at 6 Guardians. I'm staring at 3 stars on the other side of the board. I'm pretty worried if I'm in Dace's position.
I think Kyvix has not lost a round since we've seen him last, and I don't think is going to start now. These Guardians are so strong, and the Zeri has 3 items. Even after the Edge of Night procs from the Graves, Zeri's going to be right back at it again, because guess what? The Guardians are still there. Graves cannot take them down. Dace gets punished by Kyvix and goes out in 7th.
Prestament still sitting at the top. Kyvix on a big win streak right now. This feels tough to beat. Clear still with the Pirates in play. You know, it was, again, their whole idea was to get to the Dragons aspect, I think. You know, but it was that second augment that showed up. It really changed the whole perspective. They stopped trying to go for tempo and said, you know what, I'm going to cap this board out and try to win this lobby.
5 dragons, soon to be 6, Admirable, when the level 9 does come through, and that will be a beautiful thing to see. Has been nerfed a bit recently with the 6 dragons, but still is one of the, if not the highest cap board in the game. A lot of them are only tier 1, however. Deja 1, Itis 1. Clear still has a decent amount of HP to get there, though.
Tough one to fight there as well. But for Clear, I mean, this was the angle to take. You know, they're sitting at 13 points. They're in 21st place.
Take some big
risks.
risks.
Can't be bottom 8, or you're not making it to day 2. You're going to have to flesh out some big finishes, and they're going for it this game.
Already has dodged 8th and 7th with, again, a solid HP number. Even going up against this board, sure, that is a tall order to take down Sag, having hit a beautiful Yone 3 with these items. Clear still. Going to be leveling up in the next couple of rounds. Needs to hit.
Goodness. Kyvix just feels untouched. Every time you look at this board, there's like a shield that's about as thick as imaginable in this spot. We're not on a dragon board here either. It's just, it's so tough to tell what to do with items at this spot. You know, like what's going to be making the biggest difference here? The Mirage Spatula, you know, a bit useless at this point.
Yeah.
I'm seeing a Zeri. Like, how often is the unit going to be what you're then taking here? Clear going with the Chalice here. To support this backline AP damage. Dragon's Claw getting picked up by Kyvix as well. Let's get even tankier!
Why not get more tanky, right? Because there are some AP threats in this lobby. Deja, of course, the one that we see from Clear being one of them. And when players want to cap out their endgame boards, right, with dragons. Wow, already going level 9. Rolling once, not hitting. Called the Soju special, but the Clear special here.
Swain going in.
Is it worth it just to get the 6 dragons in already? I mean, 0 gold generation. A bit rough.
Gonna exchange out the Gambler's Blade. That's gonna be the Chalice that comes in for that spot. Go ahead and continue to buff the backline damage. Is it enough to supplement this fight, though? Because let me tell you what, Milk's board has fleshed out nicely.
This will be very interesting to see, actually. Can 6 dragons, but most of them being tier 1, do enough?
March to the backline?
Yeah, he's already in there. Runan's doing a lot of work as well. Deja going to be swinging through the whole team there. Olaf healing back up with the Hodge, and Deja cannot do it. Surely Shioyu's going to cast again here soon. Yes, the Deja does go down. It was a bit closer than I thought, but still, Milk does take it pretty decisively. Shioyu still full HP.
Robin knocked out.
Oh, wow.
6th place. I mean, Robin's board felt pretty strong. It just felt like everyone else is a step ahead right now. You know, the Seraphine composition, again, it's strong. Just players have found different angles to overcome that spot.
Robin still is in a comfortable spot, was coming into this game at 24 points, so not going to be too unhappy about it. Still always we have to think about average placement over the whole tournament if you want to think about one of those world spots. Clear has lost the last 2 rounds in a row, lost even after getting that 6 dragon spike. The gold is not there, not even on a pair of any of these really important dragons, though. That's the concerning thing. Clear just a couple more bad losses is going to be out of here.
I mean, this is looking tough. Again, I don't disagree with the risk here. I think something like this had to be taken. It's just how do you make the most of it right now? This is not the lineup you wanted to face at the moment.
Not at all. The Guardians.
Oh, goodness. It just feels like maybe Zippy, the stuns, can actually provide you enough angle here where you're just cutting the damage enough where you take a big deep breath and you go, okay, we're still here.
Maybe if the Zippy TG had rolled a bit better, but just being defensive items means that it didn't actually take out the Zeri. Unfortunate RNG there, but Zeri's still alive, healing back up. The Guardians, of course, still alive because they never die. They haven't died in the past 12 rounds, it feels like. So Clear is going to be taking another loss here in this fight. Not going to be eliminated quite yet, but is going to be on elimination point.
Yeah, I think that's a deep breath from Clear's perspective, honestly. You didn't get eliminated. You have 2 rounds to tick up your gold here.
True.
This is the kind of stuff I think you need in order to get out of a spot like this.
Gargo Stone Plate, not the best item that Clear could have found because Idis already has 3 items.
Feels like the Siphon's going to become another tank.
Has to be. Oh, some swaps happening here. I think, yeah, sold the Swain to get more gold generation because Clear's thinking, yes, I'm probably going to hit one of Aurelion Soul or Shyvana or Aoshin.
Champion Duplicator shows up?
Oh, that is so huge. That might actually bail Clear out if the next rolls are good. Clear is praying to more dog right now. There's an Idis, there's a Shioyu,
Wow.
Idis 2.
Wow!
Another Deja.
You're going to have to make a choice here.
Yeah.
I think that this is pretty strong, though.
Is it ever
Oh my gosh.
Zippy? There's the
Aurelion Soul and Shyvana both show up in this spot.
Oh, can Duplicator the Shyvana? Yeah, put the items on it. Clear could be making the comeback of a lifetime right now.
Where does the Zeeks go? Aurelion Soul is becoming the utility unit.
Hey, has to happen. There's going to be, wow, actually gets the rock propelled fist as well. Just pulls the Wukong out of a corner, but really all eyes on the Shyvana. Can it do enough with the 6 dragon buff?
Woo, that's a lot of damage coming from the Shyvana. Clear, I think, may have hit a turning point.
That champion duplicator has saved Clear's game.
Wow.
And needs it right now. Only having 13 points, Clear had to have this game be good. Not out of the woods yet, Admirable, but this is quite an important start in that journey.
Look how long the Leona hung on for here as well. Kyvik's now taking a lead.
No,
Prestovit's still sitting on top. Milk, the highlighted win streak that is still here so far. And again, Milk's board has just felt like it is absolutely fleshed out wonderfully in a spot like this. Stacked on the preparation units. He's leveling up by rolling for these strong units at this point.
Yep.
And a Soraka 2 is going to show up, and he's going to take the level with the roll. Why not?
Another Jackson there because no other units to really fit the spot right now. That's how Milk is hitting all of these 3-stars, by the way. Had the Karma earlier, sold it, found a tier 3 Gnar. It's because Y spending's a pretty good augment.
Here we go, Zephyr.
It's Clear.
That's a big Zephyr right now. Clear, I think, could be in trouble just that one Zephyr alone.
The Zephyr was huge. The Shyvana is going to be massive when she lands and starts tearing down the whole entire board. The Shioyu is still alive from Milk.
Shyvana is just dealing so much damage. Milk going to be taking a little bit of a hit here. The Gnar has been hanging on for dear life, though. I will say this 3-star Gnar has certainly been doing a lot of work here, but the Dragon board, I think that Clear might have hit the apex here. If he can 2-star some stuff, this is really bad for everyone else.
Especially units like the Aurelion Soul. The Shyvana has been the turning point, however. Milk gonna be feeling the heat. Still a couple more losses. Gonna be swapping these items over, however. The Olaf gets sold. These items ever, what, are they going on the Gnar?
I mean, Gnar does pretty natural strength with AD. I mean,
Gnar 3 carry, shout out Spicy Appies.
I've been seeing Casper Wu take this angle with Gnar a lot as well. When it's fully prepped and you have a lot of again, look at how long the Gnar survived last fight and how much it was attacking. To me, it stands out as one of these units that you want to equip with this stuff. Look at Prestivin's board, though.
Prestivin's board is insane. Maybe the Gnar can be the difference. Once he transforms, he gets a lot of AD. The Deathblade, the Renans. Gnar's in the back line, does get Bard CC'd here momentarily, but the Aushin cannot do enough. Gnar just hitting and actually pseudo carrying the fight almost. It's a Gnar 1v1 versus the Aushin, but does not do it barely. Milk takes another hit.
Clear gets knocked out. Sag gets knocked out.
Clear not able to hang on with the Shyvana 2. 6 dragons falling in bottom 4 is such a heartbreaker here.
Kivix and Prestivin have just been dancing back and forth in the 1 and 2 positions, and Milk has managed to claw his way to a top 3 finish, and absolutely necessary right now. He is sitting right at that final spot where the cutoff happens. Finding himself in a top 3 here is a big point of padding.
I think everyone's heads turned after the first 3 games. We're like, Milk, why are you at the bottom of the standings right now? Milk said, nah, don't worry, guys.
He's like,
I
oh,
got
I
this
forgot.
still. Yeah, it's like, oh, don't worry. I'm just warming up here. And he very much was. Last game got a first. This game might just be a third, but still a solid start to his regionals run if he can keep it up for the next game.
Bard's a big difference on the Mystic here as well. You now have a bit of CC that's taking place, and that can be a difference in this spot. I just feel like that this may be a little bit too powerful from Kivix's side.
It's rough. Zephyr lands onto the Zac, but the Zeri in the back line is going to be untouched. Minus the Bard ult does give a little bit of extra time, but
big deal on the Jace picking up the heat here as well. That means this Gnar and this Shio, you have plenty of time to deliver damage.
The Gnar actually is going to be really, really big. It's actually helping tear through these Guardians.
It might be enough. Like, it's consistent damage that pours out through this Gnar and through the Shioyu. They're headed the wrong way, though. They need to hit the Zeri.
Wow. I mean, it's okay. They still got through all of the tanks. The Guardians can indeed fall. Kivix takes a loss there as Milk stabilizes, tries to get his way into a top 2, if not top 1, but still.
It's just nothing but rerolls for Kivix's perspective. It's still 39 gold going.
Why wouldn't it be? Golden ticket value. Another Neela trying to go for Neela 3. Kivix has another round to work with.
It's going for like anything 3 at this point.
Yeah, there's another Neela 2. 2 Seraphines away, still rerolling. Misses a Braum, but hits the Seraphine 3. Maybe it was worth it.
Looking at the Graves on the bench. I'm looking at the Neelas on the bench. Looking at Seraphine 3, but this is a tough spot here. Prestivin's board is still just feeling so stacked right now.
Aushin 2, Aurelion Soul 2. The Aushin cast comes through. This is 4 dragons at their capped state. Guardians, though, holding their own for now, allowing Zeri some time. Zeri is untouched in the back line, but she's not doing enough damage.
It's just too much. Kivix is gonna need something way bigger, like a little bit more HP perhaps. What a hit. The Dragons, they just deal twice as much literally when they survive. They represent 2 units hitting you.
I had said earlier that from that spot, Kivix likely to take a top 2. That was close. Top 3 is still good, especially considering Milk and Prestivin's spot in this game. Both have fantastic composition. 7 Jade versus 4 Dragons. Admirable. These are peak TFT endgame boards.
I'm looking at the item here from Prestivin's side as well. You talk about something that's going to help, it's that one, but you look over again and you see the Dragon's Claw there. Maybe that's something that can buy you a little bit of time.
That's very good.
Milk here making the strong read as well, going, he was well set up to find more Mystics to pour into play. This was a great setup from Milk's side.
Or Mystics, a D-Claw, especially when you go up against specifically, well, all of the Dragons, really, besides the Terra, the Aushin, the Aurelion Soul, and the Shyvana, all going to be dealing a lot of magic damage there. The BT even for extra shield on the Aushin, but Milk also level 9.
Gnar 3. I wouldn't have thought this to be the highlight of this one, but Milk finding an angle.
Yeah.
Yet again, clawing his way back. Zephyr Cheese coming up. Can
4.
you land it well? Big deal.
4 Mystics now took out the 7 Jade, only rocking with the 6, but I think it might be
Oh.
worth it. That Mystic MR is so valuable. Xiaoyu in the back line trying to take down the Ao Shin.
If the Ao Shin gets knocked down, I think that's really a major difference in this
Yeah.
one before the next
Blocking
cast as
Soul.
well. This
Brilliant
is
Soul
all up to
comes
Aurelion
through.
Soul, it feels like. Gets knocked down.
Oh,
Milk is going
wow.
to pick up a win here, I'm pretty sure.
Yes,
It's
he
just
is.
too much MR.
Too much MR. The tech from Milk saying that how can I win this 1v1 matchup? Generically, 7 Jade fantastic, but specifically in this matchup, Milk has the correct heads up read. Going to be swapping out that Zephyr for a bit of nice Zephyr cheese, and it's pretty telegraphed. We're going to put your carries because of the Terror, right? Having those 3 hexes, the Zephyr is going to be so easy to hit. Yasuo 2 for Milk if he wants it.
Where does it go? I just don't know where it fits in. A bit surprised by the Jace being sold there, but again,
Over.
the Zephyr cheese is in play. That feels like a big deal here, and the Gnar, I really want to highlight the Gnar and this Shyvana in particular. Jace was holding a lot of damage in that spot and dealing a lot as well.
The thing is, Xiaoyu does not have as easy backline access
no.
as he did in the last fight, so this might swing entirely the opposite direction, Admirable, unless Xiaoyu is able to heal back up. The fully stacked Titans, there's so many stats, but no, Milk takes a big hit and is out. Prestivan takes game 6, or